Hey everybody, Andrew here with a quick update on stimulus. Let's talk about payment dates for that $300 unemployment boost. I'm going to cover payment dates for every single state. We'll also have big news on that $2,000 stimulus check as well. A lot of people are going to get extra stimulus checks in Biden's massive stimulus package, including those on Social Security and unemployment as well. As for me, all of you know that in my opinion, we need $2,000 per month until this pandemic is over. But with that said, let's see what Bernie just said about those $2,000 checks. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Webull. They've partnered with me to provide free stocks for my viewers, valued up to $1,600. It's completely free and takes 2 minutes. All you need to do is open an account using my link. The link is in the description of this video, just below the like button. Feel free to sell the stocks immediately to use the money if you'd like. Just make sure to open an account and then click on the green button that says Get Free Stocks. Okay, let's see what Bernie just said about $2,000 stimulus checks, and then we'll cover payment dates for each state's unemployment boost. Of course, we all know Bernie has been one of the biggest proponents for this $2,000 stimulus check, but let's see what he just had to say.
One of the things that Joe Biden has talked about is not getting too crazy about the deficit. Republicans always have this issue with we can't spend when it's on the backs of regular people getting money, but zero issue when it comes to tax cuts. Joe Biden seems to share a little more of your view on the idea that maybe we shouldn't be as sort of perversely obsessed with deficit increases as Republicans are.
Ali, you don't know how much this Republican rhetoric drives me crazy. When it comes to tax breaks for billionaires, hey, no deficit problem. Spending $740 billion on the military, not a problem. Massive amounts of corporate welfare, that's fine. But when it comes to helping people who are struggling to feed their families or to prevent being evicted from their homes, oh my God, we have this terrible deficit. Bottom line is Joe Biden is exactly right. Interest rates are now low. We've got to invest in the American people. We got to deal with the pandemic, make sure these vaccines getting out in the timeline that they should much faster than is currently the case. And we have to create millions of jobs as we rebuild the economy.
Guys, let me know if you agree with Bernie. He even retweeted what Joe Biden said just today, which is that $600 checks were not enough. We need that $2,000 passed immediately. He said it's not enough when you have to choose between paying the rent or putting food on the table. So Biden does plan to hit the ground running and get these checks passed immediately. But the big question is, when will we get these larger checks? Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but it really does depend on Mitch McConnell. And let me know in the comments if you don't like McConnell. Personally, I can't stand the man. I have yet to see a single comment of anyone saying they like him. But even though he cannot block this check at this point because Democrats now control the Senate, he can still slow this down, and I'll explain. Basically, if Mitch McConnell filibusters, we won't be getting these checks for about 3 months, give or take. That's an estimate, but it would take a lot longer to get these checks approved if he tries to filibuster. Now, best case scenario here, Joe Biden will get Mitch McConnell to compromise, maybe include that liability protection he's been wanting for businesses to get these $2,000 checks passed immediately. That's our best case scenario. If that does happen and McConnell supports these larger checks, we should have those in our bank accounts within 3 to 4 weeks from today. Of course, that's our best case. A lot of people say, why would Mitch compromise with Joe Biden? Well, it's actually well documented that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell have a long history of making deals, and they actually enjoy working together. I've covered it deeply on this channel, that they actually seem to almost be friends and have a deep respect for each other. Now, with that said, of course, there's a lot of different dynamics at play here, and Mitch McConnell could still try and filibuster this bill for various reasons. Now, if he does this, that means Democrats would need 60 votes in the Senate to override that filibuster and then approve that stimulus check. Now, there are some Republicans on board for this check. So even if he filibusters, there's a small chance that Democrats could override that, but still unlikely, especially with some moderate Democrats like Joe Manchin outwardly saying that they might not approve these checks already, which means that we need more Republicans to say yes, since we have a few Democrats who might say no. But worst case scenario, he filibusters, we don't get those votes, then Democrats would have to use something called a budget reconciliation. Now, I've gone into deeper detail on that in my previous videos, but long story short, this is a loophole that both Republicans and Democrats like to use every year, basically in order to get things done. It's nothing new. Trump used this to pass his tax plan in 2017, and Obama used this to pass his Health Care Act back in, I believe, 2010 as well. So basically, that would take a few more months. The stimulus checks would be approved through that, but it would just take a lot longer. Guys, so with that being said, Joe Biden is set to release his formal proposal on Thursday. So in just 3 days, we should have a formal outline of exactly what Joe Biden wants to include in this stimulus package. But it is expected to include $2,000 checks as well as extra $2,000 checks for every single child dependent. Guys, that is really, really good news. So not just the individual would get that $2,000, but anyone who has a child would get an extra check for each child as well. Now, it is also expected to include a $600 per week unemployment boost. So those on unemployment would continue to receive those extra checks and actually receive even bigger ones. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what Mitch McConnell's response is, but he now has a lot less leverage now that Democrats control the Senate. Now, it is also expected to include rental assistance money, an extension of the eviction ban, an extension of that mortgage forbearance moratorium as well as more money for small business, student loan freeze, and a student loan forgiveness, potentially up to $10,000, and even a $200 per month stimulus boost for those on Social Security. And let me know in the comments if you're on Social Security. I feel like this group of people has almost been a forgotten group throughout this crisis. Like, this specific people should have been receiving extra stimulus this entire time. People on Social Security are already on such a fixed budget, and throughout this crisis, they are hurting even more. But Biden also plans to include billions of dollars to help schools reopen safely, more money to help state and local governments recover from this pandemic, as well as distribute this vaccine and testing for the illness. But guys, with that said, we will have exact proposal details on Thursday, so don't forget to subscribe. I will have updates on what's included in Biden's proposal, as well as when we should receive those $2,000 stimulus checks. All right, guys, let's jump into payment dates for that $300 unemployment boost. We have a lot of big updates. It's Monday, and a lot of states gave us updates this week. We had very little updates over the weekend, but most states do now have estimated payment dates. So Alabama began paying January 6th. Alaska, unfortunately, still does not have an estimated payment date. Arizona began paying January 3rd. Arkansas, still no estimated payment dates. California began paying January 3rd, but a lot of people will not begin receiving their payments until today, January 11th. So if you're from California, a lot of you should begin receiving your payments today. Now, Colorado, they're a little unclear. Now, their estimate is the end of January. For some reason, Colorado is falling really behind. So if you're in Colorado, you might not receive your unemployment boost for another 2 to 3 weeks, unfortunately. Now, Connecticut began paying on January 3rd, Delaware January 4th. DC is expected to begin paying at the end of January. DC is way behind as well. So I'm sorry if you're from DC, you're going to have to wait a few weeks as well. Now, Florida still does not have an estimated payment date. Georgia began paying January 2nd. Hawaii, no estimated payment dates. Idaho began paying January 2nd. Illinois began paying January 7th. Indiana began paying January 8th. Iowa, January 15th. Kansas and Kentucky, still no estimated payment dates. Louisiana began paying January 4th. Maine began paying January 2nd, but the majority of people will not begin receiving their payments until January 10th or even January 17th, and that is if you're in Maine. Maryland began paying January 5th. Massachusetts began paying January 6th. Michigan, still no estimated payment dates. Minnesota and Mississippi began paying January 3rd. Missouri will begin paying January 18th. Montana began paying January 5th. Nebraska began paying January 8th. Nevada began paying January 6th. New Hampshire, January 5th. New Jersey will begin paying this week, starting today, January 11th. New Mexico will begin paying next week, January 18th. New York began paying January 3rd. North Carolina began paying January 6th. North Dakota, still no estimated payment dates. Ohio, January 18th. Oklahoma, no estimated payment dates. Oregon, January 7th. Pennsylvania will begin paying January 12th. Now, they also want to reiterate that if you're on PUA or PEUC, you will begin receiving your boost after January 20th. Rhode Island, January 3rd. South Carolina, January 9th. South Dakota, January 13th. Tennessee, January 3rd. Texas, January 7th. Utah and Vermont, still no estimated payment dates. Virginia, January 8th. Again, Virginia wants to clarify that they will begin January 8th, but if you're on PUA, you will not begin receiving those payments until January 14th because those programs are taking a little longer to implement. Washington will begin paying January 15th. West Virginia began paying January 3rd. Wisconsin still does not have an estimated payment date, and Wyoming, January 16th. So there are the estimated payment dates for every single state. A lot of states have begun paying, so if you have received your payments, let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't, guys, please subscribe. I will keep you updated every single day when each state begins paying that unemployment boost. Okay, guys, before we end this video, we have to cover this. Everyone's talking about it. I'm sure you've probably heard about it by now, but there is a lot of speculation that Trump might be resigning tonight. And most of you know that is because that the official Department of State's website, the official government website, was updated to say that Donald Trump's term ended today, January 11th, at 7:49 p.m. Now, Pence's part of the website was also updated to say that he actually became president at 7:44 p.m. today as well, which obviously has not passed yet. Now, this threw everyone into a frenzy. Twitter, YouTube was going crazy. People have been speculating as to whether or not he's going to resign. And then shortly after that, BuzzFeed and other mainstream media outlets said, you know what, no, we contacted the Department of State and they specifically told us that this was either a mistake or a trick or almost something malicious done by someone who actually works in that department, guys. And let me know in the comments below what you think of this. This was completely insane. Now, some people are saying, well, you know what, maybe the Department of State is lying to us now. He's actually planning on resigning, but they just don't want people to know that until they announce it tonight. Again, that's probably highly unlikely. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But as of now, it does not look like Trump is going to resign, and that was almost just a false alarm. But what's happening with that impeachment? And at this point, you've probably heard so much about the impeachments that you know that not only does Trump need to be impeached, but to be removed from office, he actually needs to be convicted as well. The House can impeach him, but only the Senate can convict him and actually kick him out of office. Well, long story short, he will be impeached. The House does have the power to impeach him, and that is expected to pass easily on Wednesday. However, whether or not he will be convicted in the Senate is still unknown. Now, there are a few Republicans on record saying that Trump should be impeached, which means the Democrats will have a handful of Republicans voting yes as well, but they need 60 votes to get there. And currently, Democrats only have 48 votes in the Senate because those two Georgia senators still have not been put in office. Okay, so still Democrats only have 48 votes, which means they would need 12 Republican votes in order to take over office. Now, it's in the realm of possibility. I'd say it's not likely. It's not likely they would get enough votes to impeach him. However, to convict him, but it is in the realm of possibility because there is 5 or 6 Republicans who have already said they'd be willing to do this. Now, Democrats would only need 5 or 6 more to fully convict and remove Trump from office. And Mitch McConnell has even been on record as saying that he does not want to talk to Trump ever again. So there is a lot of speculation out there that even Mitch McConnell himself would be willing to impeach and convict Trump. Guys, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Trump will actually be impeached and convicted? We'll have to wait and see. We'll find out a lot on Wednesday after the House formally impeaches him. We'll have to see how the Senate responds. But as far as Trump using pardons to pardon himself, of course, there's a lot of controversy around that to begin with. And now Pelosi is being asked, do you think Trump can still pardon himself even after these riots happened in D.C. this week? Let's see exactly what Pelosi had to say.
President Trump is facing the prospect of becoming the first president to be impeached twice. With pressure mounting, the president's reportedly telling aides once again that he wants to pardon himself. In her interview with 60 Minutes on Sunday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi weighed in on that idea. Let us listen.
What if he pardons himself?
What if he pardons these people who are terrorists on the Capitol?
or pardons
But if he does
himself.
that, he can only pardon himself from federal offenses. He cannot pardon himself from state offenses, and that's where he's being investigated in the state of New York.
There is a possibility that after all of this, there's no punishment, no consequence, and he could run again for president.
And that's one of the motivations that people have for advocating for impeachment.
So is the speaker.
Okay, so that last thing that Pelosi said is the fact that Trump plans to run again in 2024, that is one of the main reasons why they're moving to impeach him, even though he only has about 10 days left in office. Because if he is then impeached and convicted, they can then bring it to another vote to further bar him from ever running for office again. So that is the real motivation here. Obviously, impeaching him with 9 days left in office is pretty inconsequential. But if they can then vote to bar him from ever running for office again, they can prevent him from ever holding office. And Democrats, as well as a handful of Republicans, have already said they want Trump gone. Okay, guys, so we will have a lot of updates this week. Please subscribe. I'm going to keep you updated, not only on this impeachment, but also on those $2,000 stimulus checks, as well as payment dates for that unemployment boost and that massive stimulus package that Biden plans to approve, which should include more money for those on Social Security as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Trump deserves to be impeached? Do you think he will be impeached? And when do you think we'll get those $2,000 stimulus checks? But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel. And if you made it this far, don't forget to subscribe. And I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much for supporting my channel, guys. It is my goal and honestly my dream to make it to 100,000 subscribers so I can go full time and do this full time to connect with you guys online. I love seeing your comments. I try and respond as much as I can, but I'm halfway to my goal, guys. So if you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.